Coming up on Network Africa. 90 migrants feared drowned in the Mediterranean off the Libyan coast. Relief as 955 trapped miners in South Africa regain freedom. And protests erupt in Kenyan slum as police arrest another opposition lawyer. Hello and welcome to the program. I am Ayotunde Balogun. The United Nations Migration Agency says 90 migrants are feared drowned after a boat capsized off the coast of Libya. Officials say just 3 people are known to have made it back to land out of the 90 who set out across the Mediterranean, and they say most of those who drowned were Pakistani nationals. 10 bodies are also reported to have washed up on Libyan shores. Libya has for years been a major transit route for migrants trying to reach southern Europe by sea. But last year, the EU reached a controversial deal to provide help to the Libyan Coast Guard to stop the flow of boats carrying migrants and refugees to Italy. However, aid agencies and the UN accuse European governments of taking an inhumane approach. Meanwhile, as a way of curbing the migrant crisis, the European Union's border agency Frontex has launched a new Mediterranean operation named Themis. This new order eliminates the obligation of the previous mission on bringing rescued migrants only to Italy. Italy has repeatedly lamented a lack of EU solidarity in managing immigration. The previous Frontex operation, Triton, required all those rescued at sea to be taken to Italy, even if another EU country, such as Malta, was closer. Since Italy coordinates the vast majority of sea rescues between North Africa and the southern coast, the new rule is unlikely to have a large impact on arrival. All right, to take a look at this situation, I'm being joined by Olatunji Lanre-Baruwa, a human rights activist. Glad you can join us on the program Network Africa.
Good afternoon.
All right, so let's start off. The UN Migration Agency says 90 migrants are feared drowned off the coast of Libya. Isn't this a worrisome trend that we've seen again off the Mediterranean coast?
Well, it is worrisome, and I think it is mostly worrisome because most of us felt that because of the global attention, the deaths and the migrant crisis attracted last year, that there will be a drop in the numbers of people attempting to cross into Europe. And what we forget in the midst of this is that is actually not, the panacea is actually not even in the attention, that it takes a whole lot more to stop the influx and, the outflow of people from their respective countries. It is worrisome, but I think on a larger, if you widen the entire crisis, you will see that there are lots more responsibility that countries need to take up from destination countries to transit countries and even origin countries.
All right. Now, in some of the North African countries, we have Tunisia, we have Morocco, Algeria, but it appears Libya now has been a major transit route for most migrants trying to reach southern Europe by sea. Why is the government of that country not putting policies in place to stop these illegal migrants? Do you think there's something we don't know here?
No, I think we'll be expecting too much from Libya, from a country that is in crisis. Libya has been in crisis, and you have different governments in different regions of the country. You have militias are controlling a large portion of the country, different militia groups. And the country's capital in Tripoli and other key cities are the only one under the control of the central government. So in that situation, you cannot, whatever the policy you decide at the African Union level, at the European Union level, who do you deal with in Libya? is it the militia government or the, the legitimate government? So you have to, those crises will always be an issue for us, especially as we want to deal with the migrants crisis. Even for the Nigerian government, it took a lot of negotiation, it took a lot of processes for them to even, I don't think they've been able to assess Nigerians who are in different parts of Libya. There are some that are totally controlled by very hostile militants, and so you can't get access to them. So it's difficult to put this much burden on Libya because until the conflict is resolved and peace is brought back to the country, it will be difficult to track all the issues and rein in the outflow of people from Libya.
So which brings me to my next question. I mean, you look at the numbers of migrants, in the large numbers over time, but it appears that the number isn't decreasing. Why haven't the number of migrants reaching Europe declined, even as of now, in spite of all the dangers, that goes with it?
Well, it depends on the numbers you are quoting. The numbers of migrants that are able to get to Europe since the beginning of 2018 have been higher than the numbers that got into Europe in January 2017. But the numbers that arrived in Italy, on the shores of Italy in January 2017, are 6% less than the numbers that arrived January 2017. So, and if you look at the arrivals, the numbers of migrants, illegal migrants who moved from Libya to the shores of Italy dropped by over 26%. But generally, the numbers that arrived in Europe, in general, in the EU countries in general, are slightly higher than the numbers from 2017. So we have to look at it. Is it that maybe it's getting harder to get to Italy, it's getting harder to get to the shores of the Italian area, and people have to find other countries like Malta, find other countries like the Greek islands to just, or the Calais, where that is closer to France, to get into Europe. So it's going to take a whole lot more. It's going to take a lot of actions to deal with this.
All right, let's look at the new operation just formed by the European Union's border agency called Themis. It's meant to replace the previous one that allows rescued migrants only to Italy. But do you see this new order helping the situation at all, in trying to curb the numbers of migrants going from Libya and into Europe, southern Europe?
My thinking is that it's both good and bad in the sense that it puts the obligation on the countries that initiate the rescue mission. And now, the obligation is no longer, Operation Triton was a old one, and now they are moving to Themis. And so Operation Themis now means that any country that initiates a rescue mission will have to take the migrants to their own shores. And, it might bring in lethargy towards the response to cries for rescue by migrants, in the Mediterranean. Everybody, if you feel like your country is saturated with enough migrants, you don't want to take more in, it becomes a problem. So a lot of them might be left drifting on the Mediterranean. But as it is, it seems like right now there are more vessels dedicated to this operation, and you find that we are told by I think the spokesperson of Frontex that the international laws, maritime laws, will be applied, and so migrants who are rescued will likely be taken to the safest, to the nearest and safest ports. So it's now the major issue is the point of disembarkation, and it comes with its own problem, and it also has its own advantage as it is right now. But by and large, I think it's still not going to bring an end to the influx.
All right, Olatunji Larry Barawa, human rights activist, thank you for your thoughts there on the situation in the Libyan coast, that's the Mediterranean migrant issue. Thank you so much again for joining us on Network Africa.